Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This guy right next to me, that is Tim, and this is Second Legacy, and thank you for stopping by. Today, people, some behind the scenes. We had some rough intros, but you guys don't get to see that. You only get to see the finished product. And what we're going to talk about today is New Jersey, New York, blue bastions across this fruited plain, kicking gun controllers right in the teeth with their actual actions, voting through their wallets and their actual endorsement of rights, Tim. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to dive into that. I'm pretty excited to talk about it, too.
I love rights, especially the ones they get to keep.
What was that? I love rights. Don't
rights.
you?
Yeah.
It's the best thing ever. Do you agree, Second Legacy people?
Pull up notes like my Joe Biden cheat sheet. Exactly. Rights.
I can't talk to you. I love rights.
Yeah.
Dog face point. Man, this is all. You know what? This is the best intro on record. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it. Between my mess ups earlier, your low energy right there, I'm digging this. It's been a great thing. We can only go up from here, Tim.
I know. I can't go any lower. All right.
Can't go any lower. That's fantastic. Well, guys, if you want to see us continue to go upward, hit that subscribe button, like the channel. And now let's get into this because, Tim, I've got to tell you a story. It's going to be a story. It's got ups, it's got downs. And at the end, the villain gets it. And the villain, of course, is the gun controllers because New Jersey, New York, you know, the blue bastions, they've kind of been like kicking the gun owners forever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it turns out when you crack open the safe of freedom through the Bruin decision, people act on it. Isn't that weird?
That's crazy. I think those people like
so
the rights
odd.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone does. They say it a little more exuberantly. But let's get it. So this is what we're talking about here, Tim.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the gun carry permits that were requested and they were soaring in New Jersey after the Supreme Court upended firearm laws, right? Well, what really they did was they curtailed gun control. We know that, but let's not split hairs. So if you were going to guess, Tim, if you were to get just random number, what do you think the amount of increase in a percentage would be from the prior year to the next year after the Bruin decision? What do you think it would be in New Jersey?
Let's go with
It's random.
500%.
Oh, that is conservative, and that's what I like about you, Tim. So conservative. It's actually 3,000%.
I meant 5,000.
So,
but that would have put me over.
oh,
yeah.
well, you did.
3,000.
You were wrong in both cases.
3,000%.
3,000%. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's actually really impressive. I mean, if you look at number 2, I'm just going to kind of throw up some data right here real quick. In the 20 months after the court's landmark decision, about 33,000 people applied for a carry permit in New Jersey, according to a database that they just released on Thursday. This is like their California-style database where they say where everyone lives and all this stuff. You know,
I was going to say, next to be released are their names, addresses, type of firearm, all their relatives, next of kin, the pets' names. Yeah.
And their medical records.
Yeah. All to be published on a searchable database.
On accident.
By
I'm
accident.
Sure.
Yeah, it's totally by accident.
Pull a Rob Bonta. But yeah, 33,000 people. That's not a few.
No,
that's a good chunk of people. So listen to the discrepancy here. This is absolutely crazy. Police departments received an average of about 1,500 applications a month from people seeking the permit, a 3,000% jump from an average of 50 applications received monthly prior to the Bruin decision. Dude, 3,000%. Tell me the people are acting in spite of you without telling me that. I mean,
right.
Good Lord.
And it goes back to, I think it was Giffords boasting about all the great things and accomplishments that they've had. And just please give us more money because we want to continue winning. It's like, where are you winning? Yeah. This is another example, 3,000%. Yeah, you're winning all right, Giffords.
Yeah, but you know what? It could have been worse, Tim. It could have been 4,000%. Like that's what they say in the meetings. They're like, "It could have, guys. It could have been 10,000." Yeah, but it was 3,000. Yeah, but it could have been 10,000.
Yeah,
good Lord. But Tim, there is a dark. Some bad news, Tim.
Uh-oh.
Some bad news. Yep. I didn't want to say it, but I've got to. I owe it to the people of Second Legacy. Newark saw more applications than any other New Jersey town since it was the Bruin decision. And the overwhelming majority of all applicants were white and male. Oh, my.
Oh, they had to throw that in there.
Oh, you think just when you think good things are happening.
Yeah, because, look, folks, the whole reason people are exercising their rights is because they're racists. Yep. And that... I just love how they got to throw that in there. Like, skin color has anything to do with people exercising their rights. I mean,
yeah, it does.
My goodness.
Obviously.
And let's say that those in minority communities don't exercise their rights. That's because the propaganda that is fed to them tells them, and we had this discussion with You're a Smartass caller. You remember we were talking about how
yes, we did.
he was talking about how in his family and his communities and stuff like that, they were propagandized to think that only white people owned guns and they wanted to use them against you. And he's like, no, that's not how any of this works. I mean, you're talking out your rear end, and here they go, and they put this little snippet in there. Oh, and by the way, they're all white.
Yes.
I mean, so
but you must and
playing
male,
that racist class warfare, whatever they can do to drive wedges between Americans. And they got to do it with one little snippet. You jackwagons.
Nailed it. So, but you know what, Tim? Now that we've uncovered the dark underbelly of these 33,000 applications,
let's just call them the bigots, the 33,000 bigots.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. The 33,000. The worst.
Help us.
You know what we should probably do? We should probably pull our applications for our Cheyenne Mountain storage facility of our buckets of white privilege and see if there's any cross correlation. That's what we should probably do.
Hey, you think Bitcoin's going to go up in value?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. Those buckets of white privilege.
Yep. They're just sitting there.
Man.
Yeah, they're just sitting there gaining value every day.
There is appreciation, right? Yeah, I think so. Well, you know, it's interesting, Tim, and you've always been a good investor. I love that about you. It's so fascinating because when you think about it, what they just said, and since they opened the door, I'm going to have to kick it open like the Kool-Aid man. There's this propensity on the left, and tell me if you agree or if I'm way off, that they consistently say all the corporations need to pay their fair share in taxes. The rich are keeping the poor down, and there's unfair distribution of money and power at the top of the spectrum. The 1% controls everything, and there's no power for the lower end of the spectrum, right? I mean, am I pretty close?
Yeah. I'd say that's a pretty good overview.
It's pretty accurate. Well, I find it so fascinating that the people who say those exact same things and espouse those beliefs are the ones that are putting fees, obstacles, and registration, insurance, and all financial obstacles specifically against people who want to have the rights that are theirs. Do you find that's odd? Because which group of people would that disproportionately affect?
Yeah, those in lower income. The people they say that are being picked on and laws are racist against them and all this ists, misogynist against them and any ist they can think of. Oh, and by the way, we want to go ahead and make it so, you have to pay a tax to own a firearm. You have to get a background check. You have to be in a certain income bracket. You have to have a doctor's note saying you're sound mind and body. And they just keep putting more and more restrictions on it, which ultimately does squeeze out that person that doesn't have extra income, doesn't have disposable income, that's just looking for a budget firearm. This went on in the 70s, and this got shut down really quickly. We've talked about it briefly once before, where they used to call them Saturday night specials. We got to ban the Saturday night special. There's a famous Leonard Skinner song about it. But what they were doing was saying, you know what? Yeah. A normal handgun back then would say was $300. And these people are out there buying these $59 handguns. We wanted to ban the $59 handguns because those are the ones prominently being used in crime. And they're saying, okay, so let's do that. But then everybody started to realize, hey, you know what? That's kind of like being, you're not
discriminatory.
Well, yeah, you discriminate against a whole group of people based on income.
Correct.
And so here they do it again. And yet they want to complain about the rich, but only the rich can have the guns.
Exactly.
And they complain about the police, but the police are the only people that can have the guns, but they're trying to take those away too. But
Tim, police violence is very serious.
Yeah,
Giffords told me.
Yes.
Giffords and every town I saw tweets and they said it's real.
And Davey over at K-12 database, and he just recently posted something too.
Gun violence. Yeah. Well, let me walk you through a few of the things to supplement the point because we're about facts here on the Second Legacy.
Right.
This is number 4. So for the people who say no, Braden and Tim, you guys are just being Braden and Tim. You would never make that up. I mean, you could never prove that. Okay, well, here you go. Under the new New Jersey law, which by the way was stymied in the courts because it was unconstitutional, still being litigated. Firearms are prohibited at schools, polling places, beaches, bars, parks, hospitals, and a host of other spaces lawmakers deem sensitive. It also raised permit prices, added a mandate for the permit carriers to provide proof of liability insurance, and increased the requirements for carry permits. So 2 of 3 of those are financial increases, and the third one is indirectly financial. Like, for example, you have to have all these safes, you have to have storage, you have to have all this training, like all of those things. So all of the things that they put in place disproportionately affect those at the bottom end of the socioeconomic ladder, but they're for the little guy.
And all those things combined cost more than the firearm itself that they want to buy for self-defense.
Correct.
And
the same people who are putting on taxes and mandated taxes for gun purchases, for ammo purchases, They are literally trying to price you out of your rights.
Yep.
And the people who are disproportionately affected the most are the ones at the bottom of the spectrum, who are the ones they always say they're for.
Yep. This is straight up class warfare. The rich get exercise their rights. The underprivileged and financially irresponsible veterans shouldn't have their guns. And of course, just, people that don't have a whole lot of disposable income, they can't have their rights. That's reserved for the rich people. Joe Biden said something about this, somewhat related. What was it? He said that, oh yeah, poor kids are just as smart as white kids. Is that what Joe Biden said?
Yes.
I can pull it up. I'm not making it up.
Oh, it's there. It's there. But it actually happened.
He really said it. But this is just it. I mean, they go out there and they say, what was it? AOC with their stupid little dress that said tax the rich, and of course she's taking money from rich donors. This is
at
the
a
class
$15,000 gala.
Right. Yeah. Shows up with this dress nobody else can afford, but she wants it to tax the rich. Dang it. Well, but this is that class warfare. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. You know what? You don't make enough money. Therefore, you're not to be trusted with your rights. And then you have idiots out there like Joe Biden saying outwardly racist things, but they want to tell us that he's just the great uniter, but it's always coming from the left that's doing this, that's driving these wedges of, between racial divides and class warfare and anything else they can find a way to drive a wedge between us. They do it. Yeah. And then they blame the other side. Then they say, well, it's the conservatives really doing it.
It's very weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very weird how they do that, isn't it? Well, it turns out that maybe New Jersey was just an anomaly. Do you think it was just a bubble? Because this couldn't have happened anywhere else,
no,
right?
No, probably not.
Because, after all, it was 33,000 white and male people. Yeah. So, that's pretty rough. People. Oh, my goodness. color me shocked. New York, too? This is number 5. More New Yorkers are applying for gun permits, and the NYPD won't say how many.
Or what color they are yet.
Or anything. It's so weird. Give it time. If the number gets big enough, it'll be a bunch of people with...
Yeah, they won't tell you how many people are applying, but they're going to tell you what the race is.
Yeah, exactly. You got to.
Jeez, you got to. Disgusting.
Well, it's so bad. So you remember 3,000% for 33,000 people?
Yeah.
Well, in New York, it more than doubled last year. Isn't that weird? Well, it's so odd. It's they doubled last year, but the NYPD won't tell us.
Yeah. that might backfire on us politically, so we're just going to keep all this a secret until we want to dox everybody. It's like now there's too many.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's too many people. Well, let me just throw a few numbers here to show you what they've done in New York to supplement the point that we're driving home here. So last year, the NYPD License Division received 13,369 applications to possess a handgun or rifle at home. That's 80% more applications for home licenses than the department got in 2022, and nearly triple the applications it got in 2019. So
wait a minute,
you're talking about
at home?
Go ahead.
At home.
I know it's New York. I know.
But seriously, didn't Heller shred that? You can have a permit to have a gun at home.
Ability to. They shredded the ability that you could ban it in your home.
It was Chicago, McDonald. That said you could carry outside.
McDonald did that.
I knew we had a Supreme Court decision. This at home. Here's a permit. You can have it at home. Don't you dare.
Well, it's a permit to purchase. Okay. Well, it's just like Chicago. Yeah. It doesn't really matter. Like,
okay. So the at home part was probably just a screw up on the reporter's part then. Okay.
Yeah. Right. They were just being overzealous.
Dreaming out loud again. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. The increase was even starker for concealed carry applications, which jumped from 258 in 2019 to 6,751 last year. And then that number of concealed carry applications in the first 2 months of this year has already surpassed 2019, 2020, and 2021 combined.
Wow.
Dude, people are so fed up with this crap.
Hey, but I just want to remind you, Giffords is winning. Just send them some more money so they can win some more.
That's right. Send them more money. We're so full of winning, and we're so victorious that we need more money. What?
Yeah.
FPC has more money than Davy Crockett because they get like $1 million every time they win a court case.
I know.
I'm just saying. By the way, those are not real numbers. That's a complete just hypothesis.
Too funny. Yeah. Well,
Oh, it's too good. Well,
bless their little souls for exercising their rights, and let's hope the trend continues upward.
And I hope they lose their buckets of white privilege.
Yeah.
Because we're running out of storage space at Cheyenne Mountain.
Yeah.
So, Tim, sometimes in our journey through the happenings and the to-dos of the gun world, our stories stack on each other. And it turns out in this second segment, this one stacks too. I want to just bring you into something that happened in the NYC in the subway, since we're talking about gun rights. So This one I find so intriguing because there was a shooting on the subway after, Hochul deployed the National Guard, and there was a police precinct actually in the station where this occurred.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And they're supposed to be searching bags and all that other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's so fascinating because this story caught my attention. There were no charges filed for one of the guys who defended himself in the subway against an aggressor. Now, let me walk you through some high-level stuff here because this is where it gets really interesting. You know that the subway is a sensitive place, right? So Hochul's law says, no, subway not cool. You can't have a gun on subway because it's a sensitive place, blah, 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 XYZ. So a criminal who is known to sling drugs, was the exact words from the article, was on the subway, gets in an altercation with another guy, okay?
Yeah.
Guy who is being assaulted verbally by the criminal. They start scuffling and kind of verbally fighting. Everyone gets to the other side of the train car. The guy who is the criminal, the drug dealer, goes into his pocket and grabs a gun. This is all on camera. Grabs a gun and starts threatening the guy that he was in a verbal altercation with. Scuffle ensues. The guy who did not have the gun, the one who was defensive, got the gun away from the bad guy and shot him. He's now hospitalized. Okay? So understand what we're talking about here.
Right.
It's really important to the story. The guy who did not have the gun got the gun away from the guy who brought the gun. Okay? So the criminal who brought the gun into the sensitive place, past the police precinct, past the National Guard, threatened the other guy with a gun. Guy being threatened, wrestles the gun away, shoots the bad guy with his own gun. Land that plane fully with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is epic.
Which is absolutely epic.
Yeah.
Okay, so put a pin in that for 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the story last year with the Marine who choked out the guy who was assaulting and threatening people on the NYC and who was charged and then convicted of manslaughter? Remember that?
Yep.
Okay. Now we go back to this story in, I think it was this weekend or it was right before the weekend. There are no charges filed for the guy who defended himself. Okay, so there's a very interesting flex of not working, right? In fact, if I go to number 9 here, while the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office spokesperson, Oren Yaniv, on Friday said the shooting was shocking and deeply upsetting, he added that at this stage, evidence of self-defense precludes us from filing any criminal charges against the shooter, which is good.
Yep.
But what's so fascinating to me about this is if this exact same guy who wrestled the gun away from the bad guy had brought his own gun, he'd be in jail.
Right.
So effectively, what they just said is if you go into an environment and you don't have a gun and you somehow wrestle away a gun from someone who does have a gun and defend yourself with his gun, that's self-defense.
Okay. Yeah.
If you bring your own gun after you've been trained, licensed, and you're concealed carrying and you defeat a threat, you're going to jail.
Right, because you took it into a sensitive place.
Correct.
But if you mug the mugger and take theirs, well, you're okay.
You're perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we landed that plane because now we can actually break it down. Is that not is that insane?
Nuts. This is nuts. And every time we talk about New York City subways and stuff like this, back in 1984, you probably remember the name Bernard Goetz, right? He was
vaguely.
So Bernard Goetz was at the time there was no such thing as concealed carry in New York, legal concealed carry, and he was riding the train, was accosted, he was beat up and stuff, and so he decided, I've had enough. He went and bought, I think it was a .38 special revolver, and decided to carry a gun. Wound up being accosted by 4 different criminals, if you will, and he wound up being charged with, because he shot his firearm on the subway, he was charged with 4 counts of attempted murder, 1st-degree assault on 4 counts, reckless endangerment, 3rd-degree criminal possession of a weapon, 4th-degree criminal possession of a weapon, 3 counts. And this is a statement to how people within these cities who may be left-leaning get so fed up with the crime that there's a thing called jury nullification. You know what he wound up doing?
Yes, there is.
1 year in jail, released after 8.5 months.
Which still is too much, by the way.
Which is too much. But in 1984, that was huge. They basically, the reports just said they let him walk with nothing. That he should be in prison for the rest of his life for defending himself. But this is, so basically what I'm getting at here is eventually the people of New York City are going to get sick of this. and they're not going to take it anymore. And if they were to bring somebody up like this person on charges, the jury is going to say, no, you know what? I'm sick of it. No, it was self-defense. I don't care what you say, Mr. Prosecutor. I don't care what your instructions are to the jury, Mr. Judge. No, we're not doing it.
Eventually,
yes. It does happen. It's called jury nullification. You'll have various legal minds talk about whether or not it's a valid thing or not, but I personally believe in it. But I just think that's where this is going with places like New York, because they're so sick of it. I mean, for goodness sakes, they had to call out the National Guard just to try to get things under control, and this is still going on.
Right. And the irony of that, they called out the National Guard to defend a sensitive place, which they said would prevent gun usage because there's gun usage, and then they're employing stop and frisk by the National Guard in the subway systems.
Right.
I thought stop and frisk was like the most egregious thing that you've ever seen. I thought it was like the most horrible thing that's ever existed in the entire planet, and now they're doing it again under a Democratic governor?
Yeah. She caught some flack for it. But she's going full steam ahead with it. But I mean, look, she's between a rock and a hard spot here, because really these major cities are doing nothing to curtail crime. They're doing nothing to enforce law. As a matter of fact, they're rolling it back, and they're losing police officers at a dizzying pace because they're hog tying them and tying their hands so that they can't even do anything. If the police are getting so frustrated, they arrest somebody for attempted murder, and before they even finish their paperwork, some judges put them back out on the street on their own recognizance.
Correct.
And so people are getting fed up with it. And that's why I was talking about jury nullification, all this other stuff. Eventually the citizens are just going to say, I've had enough. And we've seen this before. It happened before under Rudy Giuliani when he was mayor.
Exactly.
So
that's exactly what happened.
It's this vicious circle. We don't learn from history, so we just are doomed to repeat it over and over and over again.
In certain areas, yeah. But listen to this statistic as we wrap this story up. I find this super fascinating, as 1,000 more National Guardsmen were put in here. So in February, there was a 15.4% drop in crime compared to the same month last year. But wait for it. Robbery dropped 5%. Grand larceny dropped 28.6%, while felony assault stayed the same. Okay, hold on a second. You apply police and National Guard, theft and larceny goes down, but felony assault stays the same. What does that angle towards, Tim?
I think that's what we call gang violence.
I think that sounds like something like that. Yeah, because if you've had no change in one of three categories and you've increased police or National Guard presence, that would mean that violent people committing felonious acts are still doing it. It's almost like it's the people, Tim.
Yeah. No, it's the guns.
That's weird.
Yeah, I know.
But arrests in the transit system are up 45% though. And they say it right here. I see it. It's weird, Tim. I mean, it's almost like they're only arresting theft, but they're not arresting felony assault.
Yeah, it's almost like they're giving people slaps on the wrist and turning them loose.
That's like, so weird.
Look, this is your first murder. Let's we're just gonna let you go out and here's this ankle monitor. You know what? We're not even gonna do that. Just go home. Do you promise to be a good person? Sign right here. If you're not a good person, then we're gonna take your candy away, and then they send them home. It's like, but this is why our cities are falling into complete disarray, and this is why the governor has Holcomb has gone so far as to call out the National Guard, but still they're not fixing the root problem.
Nope. Well, and they're part of the root problem too.
Well, of course, right. They're going to keep blaming guns, and they're going to continue to tie the hands of law enforcement and roll back crimes or not crimes, but laws that protect the innocent, and they're passing laws that favor the criminals to the point where stores have to lock up everything from Q-tips to body wash that you have to get a key to open it because they are not enforcing any laws. You can go in to steal up to $1,000 of stuff in some cities. Nobody cares.
Right.
Just go on home.
That's weird.
It's because any number of reasons they come up with. It's not their fault. It's society's fault.
Society.
Yeah.
It's society. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the society. So take your buckets of white privilege and go to the mountain.
But it does look like the increased sales of firearms and the increased licensing is bringing down most of the categories except for the felonious assault. And
exactly in the place of sensitive places where they aren't allowed to carry them. Right. It's weird.
And I would imagine a lot of that felonious assault's taking place, on the streets somewhere, and it has something to do with drug trade and gang violence. I'm guessing because they're not tackling that problem whatsoever.
Well, you know what? We're going to follow up on that. We're going to keep it going because you know what time it is?
Uh-oh, is it my time to have some fun?
Oh, it's your time. It's your time to shine.
All
You
right.
got some doozies for us today in G3.
Yeah.
I'm excited to walk through these.
Yeah. So one thing that we always get accused of in the 2A world is, of course, we're always told that we're racists and bigots and misogynists and all that other stuff. But we're also claimed that we're violent, right? It's the guns making us violent, but we're violent people on the right in the 2A community. But we all know, anybody that's in that community knows that's an absolute lie. 99.999% of us are actually law-abiding, just peaceful citizens going about our business. We're not the ones out there committing gang violence in the streets. But the left likes to paint themselves as the peaceful type. We just got to take all the guns away so we can hold hands and sing Kumbaya. We don't want to hurt anybody. It's these evil right-leaning people that are the violent ones. All right, so here we go with the first one for G3. This is from, I love the name, Opposition Ista.
Oh, it's so good.
Right, like Sandinista. So basically, what they're saying is Oppositionista. That's a play on like I'm a revolutionary. I'm the warrior. We gotta be peaceful but violent. And look at this mixed messaging. Look at this.
Right.
Arm yourself with a ballot. Arm yourself. Okay. There's a play on the word. This is something they accuse us of doing. Right. Arm yourself with a ballot. If we don't stand together now, we may have to fight in ways good people don't want to. What does that mean? You're going to throw sand in their eye before you punch them? You're going to fight dirty? You're going to foot sweep them? I mean, what? Or are you talking about civil war? Right? And then it says, now or never, vote blue together. So basically what they're saying here, arm yourself with a ballot, cough, cough, nod, wink. It's like, what are we saying here? And then the next one, oh yeah, we have to stand together now. Otherwise, we're going to have to fight in ways good people don't want to.
Right, dude.
Oh, it's so in your face.
You know what? It's so in your face. And I think you said pre-show, is this a dog whistle?
Yeah.
Dude, I think this is just literally a billboard.
I don't know if you saw my post.
There's no dog.
Because this whole thing about, the bloodbath that President Trump was talking about. And I actually did a video clip. I posted this all over X where I went to Webster's, typed in bloodbath, and the very definition is economic crisis. And that's what he was talking about. 100%. And so after a number of people were doing that, now they've completely shifted the narrative. But they said that was a dog whistle. Well, even though he may have been talking about economics, he was carefully crafting his words. It was a Scarborough, I think. He was saying that. Carefully crafting his word. It's a dog whistle. Well, this ain't a dog whistle, dude. This is just a trumpet. I mean, they're basically saying, go out there, arm yourself, because we're going to have to fight in ways that we don't want to. Right. Like, Antifa doesn't really want to go around and accost people in public places like they've been doing for years. They don't really want to do that. They have to do it. It's political violence that's necessary, folks. We got to have the revolution. Easter.
Got to break a few eggs.
Yeah.
But you know what I noticed though, Tim?
What's that?
Maybe. I mean, can we really? I mean, honestly though, can we tie this to Democrats? I mean, really?
It's easy enough to do. Go ahead.
We registered Dems. Ooh.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. That's hard to walk away from. Well, you never know. Hold on a second. What about the hashtags? Crush GOP gun culture and hashtag it's the guns.
Yeah.
As you're calling for violence?
Yeah.
I've got
Arm yourself because you may have to fight in ways you don't want to. And then a bunch of the gibberish in between. But it's pretty clear what they're saying there.
But it's the guns, Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. It's the guns. Crush GOP gun culture.
Right. We need to arm ourselves. It's their guns, not our guns. We're going to need our guns to take theirs from them. Yeah. It's idiots.
It's bad, but at least it's not Democrats anyway. Oh, wait, yeah, it is.
Yeah,
but this next one though.
No, so the next one, yeah, number 17. This one's from Gracie USA 1, which also happens to be at Gracie USA 1, so they didn't creatively change their name. This is, and you may notice that this also has it's the guns. Little secret. This is how I'm finding these little gems. I'm searching for this hashtag.
Don't give away your secret ways.
Well, it's obvious to anybody that's watching now.
Oh man.
But anyway, so Gracie had this to say. Add beaches to the list of unsafe places in this country thanks to MAGA and their gun worship. And then if you
what?
So I don't even know where to start with this one. First of all, I can almost guarantee you the fine scholars shooting up beaches during spring break aren't very politically active one way or the other. And if they are, they're probably not MAGA. Yeah. I mean, it's just funny how they keep throwing this back at the gun owners and people that are conservative, saying it's our fault that criminals are being criminals. It's the guns, folks. It's not the people pulling the triggers. And it's also interesting to note that violence during spring break is nothing new. Even in the 80s, there were places that you were told not to go. And I was a little young then to go on spring break, but it would still make the news of the fights that would break out and all this other stuff. What happens when you get a bunch of teens away from their hometowns, put them in a place where they think that they're anonymous, pour a bunch of liquor in their gullets? What do you think they're going to do? They're going to fight and be crazy. That's why so many of these little towns they're going to go to church. That's why some of these towns are trying to shut down this type of stuff. They don't want the spring breakers anymore because this is an ongoing problem. It has nothing to do with MAGA. It predates MAGA by a long time.
Right.
But it's MAGA.
The other thing about this is it's definitely MAGA, obviously. But Jacksonville is also a very high crime rate. I mean, like,
yes,
that is not a small crime rate split state. It's not a city. It's not like they go, this has never been heard of in the last hour.
It's all those pickup trucks driving around with Trump flags hanging out the windows, shooting and bayoneting people that are causing all the crime.
It is.
I mean,
bayoneting people.
Well, yeah, because you have to ban bayonet lugs because the drive-by bayonetings are completely out of control in the United States.
Oh my gosh, the drive-by bayonetings.
Yeah,
that's serious. That's pretty serious, man. I don't even know how that would work.
I don't know, but maybe I should try that. There's a video idea.
Nope. HR. This coming in from the HR department. That was a hypothetical. It was meant for research and experimentation. It was not meant for a serious threat to anyone with bayonets.
Rubber dummies. Yeah. So anyway.
Yes.
Rubber dummies. All right. Well, folks, we hope you enjoyed today's episode from Second Legacy. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. We'll talk to you guys soon.